Hey, how's everyone doing? For Bridge Atlantic, I am singer-songwriter Marcio Novelli from Canada.
And I'm music web designer Ross Barber-Smith from Scotland.
And you are watching Reviews, a show where we evaluate and comment on new music. If you are new here, subscribe.
So today we are going to be talking about America by 30 Seconds to Mars.
That's right. All right, let's just dive right into it. So America starts off with the very anthematic, is that the word?
Anthemic, you're close.
Anthemic, thank you. And single Walk on Water. This was the first single that they released to the public sometime last year. It was several months ago, I think late summer last year in 2017. And it definitely was an indicator of what this album was going to be like. Now I'm just gonna be really honest. When I first heard this album, I was disappointed. Okay, I am a longtime Echelon, and they've definitely always incorporated electronics from the very beginning. But as they grew in popularity with their second and third album and fourth album, I guess they were more looked at as a rock band. But again, really, like I said, they've always incorporated all different kinds of music, from rock music to a little bit of pop, to industrial, to electronic. They've never shied away from that. So this is no surprise, I guess, that they've moved more towards an electronic, more fully electronic sound. Very little traditional rock, what you would call, on this album. When I say traditional rock, I mean, I guess, heavy guitars, heavy live drums. Jared Leto's brother, Jared Leto being just about everything sounds synthesized and electronic. His brother is the drummer, and people have commented on just how fantastic his drumming is on the first four records. So to have on the fifth record, you kind of barely hear Shannon. That's also quite a surprise. So I was very disappointed at first, more so, I guess, shocked. And also when you're used to, I guess, a band having a sound as eclectic as their sound is. What I said to you, Ross, when the album first came out, I felt like there should have been an album in between the fourth album and the fifth album to kind of help transition this sound from, because
maybe be more of a natural evolution than rather it's almost a reinvention in some ways, because it's quite a jump.
Yeah, no, it almost feels like this could be a Jared Leto solo album, even though, I mean, 30 Seconds to Mars technically is a solo project. But, having said that, keep in mind, 30 Seconds to Mars takes 4 to 5 years to release each album. So technically, if they were like most bands that released an album every 2 years, I think that maybe it would seem more natural. But they have been working on this album for several years. Rescue Me, this is the third track on the album, which is actually one of my favorites, actually does have electric guitar throughout the whole song. Not dirty guitars like you would imagine, but a little arpeggio. Keep in mind, from the very beginning, Jared Leto had always referenced Nine Inch Nails as being one of his favorite artists, Depeche Mode, all those kind of bands that he grew up listening to. So again, no surprise. And even though this seems more pop, which is not a bad thing. That's the thing. Ross, you and I are definitely coming from a real rock background, but as we've aged and grown and matured, we've opened up to all genres. Good music is good music, despite any genre. But moving into more electronic place, the structures still feel rock. I feel like Jared Leto's vocals are quite rugged on this album, maybe to compensate a little bit for the fact that the music is a bit lighter. But as I've given it more and more chance and several listens, I've actually grown to fall absolutely in love with it. I think it's really fantastic. I think the songwriting is exceptional on this album. And I know I've seen a lot of people give really negative reviews. I'm glad we didn't jump on this review right away. I'm actually glad that we gave it a couple of weeks since it's come out. My personal favorite songs on it would probably be Dangerous Night, Rescue Me. I love Is Madness. I think it's fantastic.
That's one I was going to mention, because I really like Halsey anyway. Right? So it was cool to see that sort of, I don't know if it's an unlikely collaboration, but it's maybe a slightly unexpected collaboration, and that she's not particularly well known. I think she's better known here in Europe than she is elsewhere. So I quite like that pairing. And actually, I know it's only like an interlude kind of thing, but Monolith was one that actually caught my attention. And I think that definitely reminded me of Nine Inch Nails a little bit. There was something a bit more industrial feeling to it, it's really
reminiscent to the pyres of Varanasi, if I'm pronouncing that right. I thought it was very similar to that, which I kind of was like, come on, Jared. It serves more as an intro to Love Is Madness. But on its own, it's very fantastic. It gives a little break from vocals and melody and everything, which is really fantastic. The other one at first I was kind of surprised when I heard it, but I've grown to really love it, is Hail to the Victor. I actually love my kids love that song, so I play it every day when I take my son to and from school, and we just rock out in the car, which is really fun. The other surprise, but I'm skipping through a few here. So like I said, Walk on Water, Dangerous Night, Rescue Me, those are the first 3 songs in the album, and they're very this album's very top loaded. One track, Mind, I was not a fan of it at first. It's definitely not my favorite song on the album, but I'm old school, and I actually have a physical CD copy of this. When I bought tickets to the 30 Seconds to Mars show, I received a CD copy of the album, and interestingly enough, in the CD copy, it does not have the guest appearance by A$AP Rocky, if that's how you say it. It does not have the guest appearance. I don't know if this is an error or not, but the song actually, personally, I think the song works a lot better without the guest appearance. I don't know if you got a chance to hear it without it, Ross.
I've not heard it without, but what I would say is I wonder if like that feature is kind of a way to bring in a new audience, like because it probably would appeal to maybe an audience who are not that familiar with 30 Seconds to Mars and kind of bring them in. So it's an interesting, again, like Halsey, a bit of an interesting kind of choice.
I think it works out way better with Halsey, though, and I think that their voices on Love is Madness work incredibly well together. I was so surprised. I could not imagine another female singer whose voice meshes with Jared Leto so well. But anyways, then that moves into Great Wide Open, which I find could have been on the last record. And I believe Jared Leto had actually mentioned that one of the songs on this album was actually meant for the previous album. I'm going to guess it's either Great Wide Open or Live Like a Dream, because those two sound like sonically like they belong in that album. For people who are kind of thrown off a little bit by the new stylistic choice, I will say that the first half of the album, like I said, is top loaded with all the singles. The second half does kind of branch off a bit into more what we're used to from 30 Seconds to Mars, longer, more kind of thought out, productions. So that's Great Wide Open, which I think is probably the most emotional piece of work on the album. Then that leads into Hail to the Victor. That just is a real kind of dubstep-y kind of song. A little bit.
It's got some influences there. It does have some EDM kind of influences going on.
A little bit EDM in there. Then that goes into Dawn Will Rise, which I think is one of the most chill tracks in the album, which again kind of goes a bit with Great Wide Open, that kind of vibe. And then the most surprising track was the 10th track in the album, called Remedy, which is for the first time ever we hear Jared Leto's brother Shannon come forward, grab acoustic guitar. This is a song he wrote and performed himself. It's just Shannon Leto singing Remedy. And it's cool. You know what? It's cool just to hear a different voice in the album. I mean, Shannon Leto has always had at least one song on each album. It's usually an instrumental. This time, I guess he was brave enough to bring forth his vocals. And then that leads into Live Like a Dream, which I find some parts of it are a little bit recycled, I guess. I will admit that the last 2 tracks on this album, I think, are kind of my least favorite. As a fan of the band, I don't think I've ever hated any songs they've done, and I definitely don't hate any songs in this album whatsoever. But if I had to order from, I'd say those are the most forgettable, so it's probably the smartest that they put that as track 11, 12. So that's my it was very weighted on my side, only because
Marcio's been waiting to do this for a long time, guys. Marcio,
yes, and I've been listening to this album for a while. Yeah. You just checked it out, what?
Well, I've listened to it a little bit previously, but today I've been listening to it a bit more. It is growing on me a bit. Like I'm not loving it. I think Love, Lust, Faith and Dreams is probably still my favorite 30 Seconds to Mars record. Whereas this one,
it was a much more balanced record sonically. Like it had electronic and rock and experimental. It was,
and I think that's why I liked about it.
Technically it was only 8 songs because like there was a lot of interludes in that album, but I appreciate that, right? Yeah. The sonic differences. Yeah. As a fan of a band who's capable of so many different musical tastes and genres, I kind of like to see them incorporate it together rather than just picking one. I know maybe they want to really focus on a particular sound, but it's more exciting to me to on Lust, Faith and Dreams to, first of all, I love going back to that album, I love the opening they had and everything. Then they have like a rock song and then right into like a real pop song. And then, it kind of gives a bit more variety, but having said that, they went with this is definitely probably their most focused album. I will give them credit for that. I don't want to turn my nose up just because it's a different genre, because that's so ignorant, I think, of fans of a band or just fans of music. Forget genre, guys. Focus directly on the musical and on the musical quality, the songwriting, which I think these are well-crafted pop songs, and production-wise, they are well produced.
Oh yeah, definitely. It is a very well produced album. I mean, I would love to hear some acoustic versions of these songs, either on just guitar or piano, because like that is really the true test of a good song. And I think a lot of these would work in that kind of setting. But agreed. I think we should let people go and listen to the album themselves and see what they think.
And these are just our opinions, guys. Remember, I am a fan of the band, so Echelon, I am one of you. Don't come after me, but I'm just giving my opinion.
Exactly. So we would like to just take a moment to say thanks for watching Bridge Atlantic's reviews. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And if you do want to pick up one of our shirts, visit our website and use the coupon code BTARocks to receive 20% off your order.
That's right. This episode was brought to you by Social Surge, your source for social media marketing and online music production. Check them out because they do our Russ.
They keep the show alive.
That's right.
And if you would like to sponsor the show and become an official Bridger, join us on Patreon from as little as $1 per month. Not only will you be able to showcase your band or brand to our amazing audience, but your support will allow us to keep bringing you weekly videos here at Bridge the Atlantic.
All right. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to let us know in the comments what albums we should review next.
And we will see you guys next time. Bye.